This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
To the McClarty Daniel hotline, where Alyssa Orange from Pig Trail Nation is with us. Hey, Alyssa. How was the...
Hi.
Did you have a long weekend? I ran into one of your television colleagues on the river trail a couple of days ago. He had to work on Monday, and he was like, I got nothing, but we still got to go to work. What were the last 4 days like for you?
Yeah, worked Monday and got to have yesterday off and really just kind of relaxed. I was able to catch a couple fireworks shows, and we set off some here. But we're going on vacation next weekend, or next week, so we really didn't do anything too crazy. I actually spent the day packing, if that says anything about me and my personality. And I don't know, Sunday I was on my sewing machine and put a needle through my finger, so
Ow.
had to fix that. Yeah.
That's the main reason I don't sew, because I don't want to have a needle stuck through my finger. Because also, I've sewed buttons before, but I can't do much else.
I was on the machine, and the thing is, I had just had a conversation with Courtney because she said the same thing, and I was like, it's impossible to do that. Like, you have to be an idiot. You got to be, not paying attention to sew your finger. And I was just sewing a big square. I was making a duffel bag, and I don't really remember, but I was trying to turn it, and I did something, and sure enough, my pointer finger on my left, next thing I know, the needle has broken off into my finger, and I've had to get all to pull it out, and then almost fainted. But I'm fine. We're all good, so it's fine.
Frightening thoughts.
She does her own stunts. Exactly. It's movie season.
That's right. Yeah, July is vacation season. I'm headed to Lake Michigan on Friday afternoon, flying to Chicago, renting a car with the kiddos, and we're headed to South Haven, Michigan for a week. It was my first time ever on one of the Great Lakes for summertime, and I mean, it looks just like an ocean. It feels just like the ocean. There are waves. It just doesn't smell. Where are you headed?
We're going to Chattanooga. Got a lake house there. I believe it's Lake Chickamauga. It happens to be kind of a halfway point between our family here in Arkansas and my family in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And so we rented a house. My sister's flying in from Seattle, and going to hang out by the lake, too.
I'm jealous you know how to sew. They taught me in home ec class in like 8th grade, 7th grade, and then the skills left me.
I had to sew a button on a Ty's shirt before. Yeah, Ty Richardson came up to me once to have me sew a button on his shirt.
Maddie T, you can sew?
Absolutely. But I was really raised by my grandmother a lot, so she showed me that.
One day for my birthday 10 years ago, I just moved here, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go buy me a cheap sewing machine and see what I can do. And quite frankly, that's how I unwind. It's the exact opposite of what I do for a living, and it's very therapeutic for me.
Hey, Alyssa, I saw you tweet about this. I think it was Friday last week when all of those firings came down from ESPN. And I think probably the one that tops the list for a lot of people, along with Jeff Van Gundy and David Pollack, is Suzy Kolber. I think she was the longest tenured ESPN staff member let go. It was 27 years or something like that. And, man, I mean, she was so good with the NFL. So good with the NFL. Yeah. That one stood out. And I know she must have had a pretty heavy influence upon your career.
A huge impact. If you think about it, 27 years at ESPN. I'm 35 years old. I was watching Suzy Kolber when I was 8 years old, 9 years old, and watched what she was able to do, and obviously wanted to get in this profession, and she was just top-notch. And what I really respected of her was her knowledge for her content and what she was talking about, but also the way that she was able to deliver things and have conversations. And so if you were to ask me some people who I really modeled what I wanted to be as a sports journalist around, it would be her. It would also be Lindsay Zarniak. Really liked her style when she was on ESPN as well. And so when I saw that, it was like a gut punch, which reminds you, we're all dispensable. No one thinks that, we can't be replaced. But for everyone around my age, a few years older, a few years younger, who watched Suzy Kolber and got into this industry because of the platform that she helped pave for a lot of us, a lot of people that I follow on social media who are women in this industry paying homage to her last Friday.
She is so good, and I'm sure she'll hook on somewhere because she's just really good at what she does. She always has this ability, and maybe there's a little bit that you've like ingrained in your delivery on camera, like Susie. I've done this too with people that I listened to growing up. I don't realize that it's not mimicking them, but just like, just like taking a piece of their on-air persona, and because you listened to it so much and paid attention to it so much that it almost, the back of your mind just becomes a little bit of your own on-air persona. Suzy Kolber is one of those people that always seems to be happy at what she is doing, and it never comes across phony. Like, some people that always look like they're smiling. It doesn't always look genuine. With Suzy Kolber, her delivery, you could tell she loved what she did. And even in 27 years, you could see sometimes the look on her face was like, yeah, I get to do this for a living. That's what I took from her. I think we lost Alyssa there for a moment. Did we lose Alyssa?
We still looks like she's on, but I'll try to call her back here maybe.
All right. Well, that was certainly one that stood out. Van Gundy stood out. Todd McShay stood out just because of the outsized.
Hey,
you're back, Alyssa.
We lost you there for a moment, Alyssa. I was just mentioning. I don't know if you heard everything I was bringing up there, but it was about Suzy Kolber's delivery, friendly delivery. Just always had that smile, and it never came across phony. I don't know if you thought that maybe you took some of what she did into.
Yes, we can hear you now.
We got you here, Alyssa. Suzy Kolber.
Hello?
Yeah,
she's having some phone issues.
So we'll just have to call her back in a moment here. Yeah, McShay stood out. The NFL draft is so important to ESPN that I guess they had to make a decision, right? If you're going to get rid of somebody that focuses on the draft, it wasn't going to be Mel Kiper. It would be Todd McShay.
Right.
And so
Jalen Rose hurt me a little bit. I always like listening to what he has to say. I need to go over that list and look at it. So it's just about because they got the Pat McAfee show and they're spending money elsewhere, so that's what they have to do.
I saw an explanation about this that might be the right way to look at it. McAfee is a business decision because it automatically should be a moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
He's his own
entity.
His own entity. That's right. With these individual on-air anchors or analysts,
they're part of the machine.
That's exactly right. McAfee is the machine to that aspect of what he does. He's the moneymaker. You get rid of Suzy Kolber, unfortunately, that probably doesn't lose you sponsors.
Well, exactly.
That's what I mean. Yeah, game day won't be the same either without David Pollock. Chris in Fayetteville texted that in, and that was another. It was like, why are you cutting anybody off of game day? This is this huge moneymaker, but you can cut somebody and still make money off of it. Alyssa, I think you're back, and the thing about Suzy Kolber that stood out: on-air friendliness, happiness, just always seemed to be enjoying what she did, but never came across phony. I don't know if that was something that you might have incorporated into your on-air delivery, because that's the way you come across too.
Well, thank you. And really, for me, watching her, it felt like she brought you into the conversation. She wasn't talking at you. She was talking with her audience and with the people around her. And that's what's been really big for me as I continue to mold who I want to be as a journalist and perfect my craft, is being a conversational on-air personality that isn't just going to recite things, but feel like I'm talking with the audience who is probably maybe having that same conversation about the Razorbacks at home with their friends and family. Because that's how she made me feel when I was watching her, that she wasn't better than anyone, that she wasn't on some pedestal reciting, let me tell you what I know. She felt like she was talking with you and bringing you into that conversation.
Yeah, I think that describes it well. And that's how you ingratiate yourself to listeners and to viewers, is by making them feel that we're all having that same conversation. And there was a point where I remember when I decided I wanted to go into sports radio, specifically baseball play-by-play, but sports radio is an industry at the age of 12. So that would have been 1989. And in 1989, ESPN was the thing. And that's where anyone that was older than me that knew what I wanted to do for a living were like, you probably want to work at ESPN, right? Times have changed now. ESPN isn't really doing a lot of hiring necessarily. It's you got to branch out. You got to find other places to do it because the ESPN of right now is not anywhere close to what that whole thing was even 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Even when I got out of college in 2009, when you wanted to get into the industry, you did radio, newspaper, or television. There wasn't podcasts. There wasn't these Barstool Sports or the SEC Network or, even really working as a team reporter wasn't a thing quite yet. And now there's so many opportunities for a lot of these younger talents to go out there and do things the way that they're coming out of college, with, quite frankly, their last semester of college is almost like 4 years in a small market with the resources that they have now that we did not have in 2009. So it's come a long way. But I think the detriment to that, as we talk about all of these long-tenured people we grew up watching having to be laid off on Friday, is that the talent pool can be younger and can be stronger at their abilities at a young age, where they're cheaper, and now we've got this revolving door of younger, cheaper talent versus tenured, very expensive talent, and it goes around and around and around. But it also, I think, says a lot, too, to what we do at Pig Trail Nation and how unique we've been able to be and how we're able to really evolve and do new things in the local sports world that I've been a part of for the last 10 years, which is really cool to see that support hasn't wavered.
Well, and you guys have had to grow, the areas of where it is that your content is delivered. You got so much, like Ask Mike is all on hogville.net or on YouTube and everything. And you say you work for a network television station, but most of what you do isn't necessarily on linear TV. I mean, these are some of those adjustments that you're talking about.
Yeah, digital, and that's something that we've really had to figure out is how can we have a digital footprint without ignoring the television side of things, because still it's the TV side of things that makes the money, but it's the digital side that gets the eyeballs, and how do you balance that?
It is. Hey, last thing before I let you go. First Razorback that goes in the draft, Saturday. Who do you think?
Well, are we talking signee or current Razorback?
Oh, current Razorback.
Okay, I'm going to go with Tavian Josenberger as the current Razorback. But signee, we all know Aiden Miller is going to go like top 15.
Yeah, probably first rounder right there. No doubt.
Yeah.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.